Alright, alright, it is finally time. It is finally time to rank the One Piece arcs. Please keep in mind, I've only read through the series once. I barely watched any of the anime. Highly subjective to change upon reread and watching some episodes. And I'm guaranteeing some arcs are probably up higher than they will be upon reflection, just because I'm sure there's some moments that are making an arc go up higher on my list, and I'm forgetting some of my criticisms or other fantastic moments that were spread through other arcs. I'm sure of that. So subject to change, but here we go. We're going to go in chronological order just so anyone who is not caught up can skip away, hopefully. I don't say anything that's a spoiler for later arcs. I really hope I won't. So, we're going to start with Romance Down. Don, words are hard. I'm excited. I do love this arc. It's a great introduction. We get Shanks. We get, can't say that. Spoiler for later on. And fighting the Sea King guy in the lake, and the mountain bandits, and of course, one of my favorite, two of my favorite scenes are going to be one when Shanks gets the bottle bashed over his head, and we will reflect on that later in later arcs, and Luffy understanding what it means to when to use your strength and when to laugh something off. But then, of course, when Luffy is in danger and someone is threatening a friend of Shanks, and then someone pulls a gun on Shanks, he's like, that's pretty dangerous to point a gun at me. And then bam, Bandit goes down. I love it. I truly, truly love this arc. This just goes to show there are no bad One Piece arcs. Just because I am forced through how wonderful everything else is to put this at 17. I love the introduction of Kobe, my darling angel. Granted, this is probably a reflection for how much I love him now and realizing we get him in this arc. And then we have Zoro and them coming together and going off on their adventure. I really wish I could put this higher. I just can't, because everything that comes after it I love so much more. Please don't hate me. Please don't hate me. Orangetown, I have to put at 28. And I'm so sorry for that. This is based off my initial first impression of it. It put a little bit of a negative taste in my mouth. I didn't like Buggy at the time. I'm ashamed. Past Jessica was an idiot. I love Buggy now so very much, but in the moments, I did not enjoy him as the villain. I did not enjoy the arc as a whole, really. I love the dog. I love seeing him protect his treasure. I love going in with Nami. There's so many little things that I remember loving about this arc, but something has to go at the bottom. This is going to be it. I guarantee you it's going to change upon reread. Quite honestly, I did not expect to love Syrup Village as much as I did. It's still at 22, just because, again, everything that came after it I love so much more. But Syrup Village was why I dropped the anime back in high school. Like, I have tried to watch One Piece no less than 3, maybe 4 times growing up, and I just could never do it. And I picked up the manga this year, and clearly I fell in love, but I've never made it past Arlong Park, so childhood me, I'm pretty sure I was watching the 4Kids dubbed. That did not last long. I probably did not get past the first arc. And then high school me, I could not get past Syrup Village because of the pacing and how much I was frustrated with this arc. So, and then grad school, I finally made it to Arlong Park, determined the pacing wasn't for me, dropped the entire series again. But anywho, when I picked up the manga and I got to Syrup Village, I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy this. Okay, let's just get through. I'm reading the manga. I'm committed to getting caught up so I can experience what the One Piece is with everyone else. And I really, really loved this arc when I first read it. And I was shocked. I was enjoying Usopp. He wasn't driving me crazy. I loved the villain. I loved how he pushed up his glasses. I loved all these tall tales. I loved the hypnosis. I love the plan, but mostly I love seeing Luffy recognize what he hates about pirate captains. Like, this is how I will not treat my crew. I will not sacrifice them like this. I am rejecting what your view of a pirate captain is, and seeing him learn to be a captain through this, I loved it. Again, I'm forced to put this at 22, but that's just because I love everything that comes after it so much more. It's just process of elimination at this point. No idea if this is a hot take or not, but the Baratie, I'm putting this up at number 7, and quite honestly, I wish I could put it higher. This is in no small part to, I still don't know how you pronounce his name. I need to rewatch this episode of the anime. But Geen, love this man. Love the focus on Sanji as a character and how he looks at food. I love Sanji's backstory. I was heartbroken for the entirety of it. And then, like, even if you take away Geen, who, again, love, pissed has not come back yet, and his devotion to his captain, but his loyalty and respect for Sanji for what he did for him. Then you have Mihawk versus Zoro. There's no way in hell I'm putting this outside my top 10. Again, it's at 7, but I wish I could put it higher. However, the PTSD that Arlong Park gave me when Nami got her treasure stolen after learning her backstory, and the shock and her hollow feeling in my chest for having that stolen from her and seeing how Arlong had treated her and what she had sacrificed for her village, and them knowing what she's done for them, but they couldn't say it because they had to give her an out in case she couldn't fulfill that promise, in case she had to walk away, and then seeing Luffy absolutely reject the idea of her betraying the crew when she hadn't even officially joined, and her stabbing her arm, the hat on the head, the walk to Arlong Park, that's not even taking into account everything we learn about the Fishman later in the series. Don't get me wrong, I love the Baratie, but I have to put Arlong Park above it, so this one is going at 6. And this arc was flawless, and again, I wish I could get past the pacing in the anime, so I could have continued past this back when I was first watching the series, because oh my god, things get better, but the height of the emotion in this arc was like nothing else. Loguetown, I might just be forgetting some things that happened here, and there's a chance I'll move it up higher on my list later, but I have to put it at 24 for the time being. We're introduced to some great characters. We see Dragon for the first time, and Smoker, and we learn more about Roger, and we see Buggy again, and maybe that, no, it's not. I was liking Buggy a little bit more in this arc, so it's not because of him that at the time I didn't like him, because Past Jessica's an idiot. And maybe upon reread, if I see my favorite little green mohawk poking out of the crowd somewhere, that might just make me put it up higher. But for the time being, again, process of elimination, this one just has to go lower on the list because how wonderful the rest of the series is. For the same reason, Reverse Mountain, I have to put at 27. Everything else was so fantastic, and this one being more like a setup to get us into the Grand Line. Don't get me wrong, I love Laboon, I love the old man, I love what we learned about both of them, but everything else is just so good. Something has to go with the bottom, and it hurts me to put Laboon's arc so low down, but I have no choice. I have Whiskey Peaks at 25, and I'm upset about that, because we get Miss Wednesday, and my love for her is all-consuming, so I really hate that I have to put it at 25 just for how good the rest of the arcs are that come after it. I think the only reason I have it so low is because I still don't like Luffy fighting Zoro, and it really does feel out of character, even if they fed him, and I understand that when you give this man food, he is loyal to you and he will defend you from everything and everyone, but I feel his loyalty and love for his crew would at least prompt him to have a conversation, be like, hey, Zoro, did you attack these people? No. Are you sure they gave us food? They don't seem like people who would lie to us. I, again, love this arc, love the setup, love the fights, love so many things. There's just things I love more. I think I'm going to like Little Garden more when we finally get to Elbaf and we get, like, the conclusion to Usopp specifically and his relationship and admiration for the Giants, their culture, their fighting style, their warrior spirit. I think I'm going to enjoy it more then, especially thinking of all the other times he's interacted with the Giants, and upon reflection, it will probably be higher, but for the time being, I'm giving it 26 just because, for me, I didn't love this arc, I think, as much as other people will. I like the idea, I like the characters that are introduced, I like how we see them later, but the arc in itself, not the biggest fan. Is this the one where Zoro says he'd rather chop his own legs off and to keep fighting, and also strike a warrior pose if he's going to get turned into a statue? I think it is. So it's great moments, but Again, I'm going to say this for all the lower arcs, I just love the things that come after it more. Drum Island, however, I am giving 18. I did not expect this when I started making this list, because the doctor that Chopper is with, I don't really like either of them that much. They're fine. But then I'm reflecting back on what happens, and I'm like, Vivi teaching Luffy and Luffy understanding the importance of not fighting back, that sometimes you just need to run to protect your crew. Sure, you can take a fight, but what if your friends are injured? What if they get hit in the crossfire? Understanding how he, as a captain, has to take responsibility for the safety of his crewmates. Nami is sick and needing help, so you can't just go on and fight the people you're asking for help. Seeing him and dragging her and Sanji up a mountain by his teeth, clawing into it, helping the bear bunny things, and protecting the flag especially because he knows the importance that flag represents, and you can't just shoot it down. There were so many things about this arc, its themes and symbolisms, that I love, that there is no way I can put it any lower than 18. Oh, and tell me how you feel about this for pre-time skip. I'm putting Alabasta at 5 above our long park. I cannot put it any lower than that, just because this is the one that finally got me hooked for One Piece. I know I'm a little late. Reading the manga, I'm still enjoying myself the entire time, but I'm waiting for something. I'm waiting for something to be like, what makes this like religiously loved and followed? Because again, I'm enjoying everything about it. I'm enjoying the emotional highs, I'm enjoying the characters, I'm enjoying the backstories, but I'm a very narrative plot driven person. So a meandering storyline, just going to different islands, picking up your crew, having adventures without a clear goal, because I don't know what it means to be the pirate king. I'm just like, I want something driving the story forward, a narrative plot, and then we get introduced to the poneglyphs, we get Robin introduced and everything that comes with her, but specifically the idea of the poneglyphs, and then we get the payoff for Vivi being with the crew for so long, and her country, and what it means, the dictatorship they're under, the rebellion, the power of one's voice and not being heard and trying to be heard, and just trying to get people to sit down and talk, but the miscommunications that happen. Alabasta is flawless. And this is the arc that 1,100,000,000% got me hooked on this series, and I finally just understood the love and passion that the fans have for it. This was my moment. I get Arlong Park probably should have been the first moment, or the Baratie, or even so many moments before that, but this was mine. And I'm in love. I'm so happy that I made it to this arc. I'm so happy I continued on. I'm so happy for everything. And the heartache I felt during it, the explosion with Pell, and how much everyone meant to Vivi, and how much she sacrificed trying to save her country, her being left behind, but always being true to her friends and her crew, and I'm begging for her to rejoin soon. No, I love this arc. I cannot put it any lower than my top 5. I refuse. I love it. I'm actually putting Jaya higher than I thought I would when I was making this list, at 16. And mainly the reason for that is because one of the things I love about One Piece is specifically seeing the development with Luffy's character as he learns what it is to be a captain. I love when he takes inspirations from those he admires and respects and rejects the actions of those he despises, basically. And seeing him emulate Shanks in when someone is humiliating you, but you don't fight back because there's no need. You have faith in your own power, and you can laugh this off. There's no need for unnecessary violence. And to see him do that, and Zoro following his captain's lead, I love that so much for him. So the callback to Romance Dawn, yes, I can't put it that low, and I wish I could add Skypiea to this arc and just have them share that time spot, or this spot, but I can't quite do it. So I'm sad that Skypiea's gotta be lower, but if I could, I would have them sharing this spot here. But more than anything, I love that when his friend's treasure was stolen, he then immediately goes back into town. He's no longer just going to stand by. He's going to protect his friends, and knocks that Bellamy guy out with like one punch. Like it's nothing. He was nothing from the beginning, and I was not expecting him to come back later on. No spoilers for later arcs. I'm sorry. So sadly, I have to put Skypiea at 23, and again, just because of things I loved more than it. And I think part of it just kind of overstayed its welcome for me the first time I read it. It just felt a little long and dragged out, but I love the flashbacks. I love the villain. This is Indiana Jones meets Jack and the Beanstalks with a narcissistic god complex villain. I mean, I have no complaints. You have Luffy, people cheering for him, praying for a miracle, praying for a god to save them, and Luffy answering that call. The themes of revolution coming in so early, and the foreshadowing I know is going to be there when I reread it. This is definitely going higher on my list upon reread. I know it will, but for the time being, I just have to put it here because in my immediate read of the story, I just love so many things more. And in spot 21, we are doing G8. Is this canon? No, it is not. Do I care? No, because it is honorary's arc of One Piece. I do not care. It's not in the manga. G8. I love this marine base. I love the one in charge of it. I love seeing Sanji in the kitchen. I cannot stress to you how much I love whenever Sanji has anything food related, the passion he puts into it, taking the scraps that the other chefs were using to make this fine course meal and turning it into delicious food, because nothing should be wasted, because he knows what it's like to starve and he's not going to waste food. I cannot tell you how much I love Sanji when he's cooking. Seeing Luffy, being Luffy, taste testing everything, hiding in plain sight, getting everyone into trouble, being like, yeah, I'll tell you everything if you give me some of that food, and how he's walking behind people, acting like Bugs Bunny. Oh my god. I love the dials. I love, what's the guy that they got thrown in jail? Condoro? Something like that. We've established I'm bad with names. The humor is just spot on. I love the use of the dials. We finally get to see them using them down here on the Grand Line Sea. Robin, specifically, being wonderful. Getting Usopp in trouble, however, really just getting him close to Zoro for him to take care of him. This is a fantastic arc. It deserves to be on the list with all the other canon episodes. I will not change my mind. Do you have any idea how hard it was for me to place Long Ring Long Land? I cannot tell you how much trouble I had with this arc. I had it in my top 10 at one point. Then I had it in my bottom 10 a second later. And I'm just like, I don't know where to put you. It ended up at 15. I cannot believe this, but it is. And part of this is just going to be when I was reading it. I was not in the best headspace. There was stress. It's a bad time. And then I just go out on my balcony with the cat, and I'm enjoying a cup of coffee, reading One Piece, and I start this arc, and I just cannot stop laughing through the entire thing. I cannot stop laughing, and from the joke with the cheese, with hey, I have some milk. Now I'm off my stilts. I've been up there for so long. Let me get you some milk. I got no milk. I have some cheese, though. Had me dying. I don't know what kind of headspace I was in, but this brought me so much joy. And then recently, which we'll get into in a different video, I saw a crazy theory concerning this island, and I'm like, I want it so bad. So we also got the talking about Davy Jones and Davy Jones' locker, and I'm like, could that possibly get me to the underworld? So I'm excited. The world building, the lore within the story, I love it. The fights, they were hilarious. I remember liking them so much. I started the anime for this arc, and then I realized they dragged it out and added like 7 more competitions. I'm like, never mind, not watching this. But I loved how they were picking on Nami. And then I'm like, just when I thought this was just going to be a fun arc, we get the drama and the fear in Robin's eyes as Admiral Akiji shows up. And I'm like, uh-oh. And Luffy losing, him freezing everybody, but then being helpful. And I was so invested and intrigued. I'm happy with the placement at 15. I can't think of anywhere else to put this. I read it in the absolute best time for me. I needed a laugh. It delivered, and I'm so happy with this arc. It's definitely one I love. Now, I'm quite certain there are people wondering why there's only a couple spots at the top when there's so many great arcs that need to go there. That's because I'm cheating. I'm 100% cheating. Water 7, Enies Lobby, and Post Enies Lobby are all going at number 2. Every single one of them. It's my list. I can do what I want. The emotional trauma this brought me, I thought couldn't be topped until we reached the arc that will be at number 1, which everyone already knows what it is. The pain that was inflicted on me. I cried my heart out over a boat, over the ship, the Going Merry. I was in emotional pain. So Usopp and Luffy fighting, that was one thing. And I was frustrated because Usopp is using everything he knows about Luffy, taking advantage of the weaknesses he knows his friend has to get one up on him. All for a ship that cannot be repaired, and he knows cannot be repaired, but he refuses to accept it. And I'm like, I get you love this boat. I get it's part of your family. I get that you feel that if you are not useful, you will be tossed aside the way that they're tossing away the ship. But I'm like, it is just a ship. But then, we learn about the fairy spirit thing that restored the boat that is the Going Merry when it is so loved, and how it gave its all to see them safely here, to survive the fall from the Sky Island and deliver them safely here. My actual heart, I could not deal. And then Robin theoretically betraying us, and Luffy refusing to accept it. The betrayal I felt for the shipwrights towards me, everything. And then being told that Robin is doing this to protect them, and Nami dropping to the ground in tears saying it's not too late, she still loves us, she's doing this for us, we can save her then. Oh my god. Then everything. Going to Enies Lobby. Luffy abandoning the plan, going over the gates, smashing his way through, people trying to stop him, and he is an unstoppable force. Plowing through everyone to get to that moment, to say, like, Robin, I need to hear you say it, tell me you want to live, and her still telling him to leave, that no, she won't. Getting Robin's backstory broke me. And then realizing she's doing this not only because she's trying to protect them from all the trauma she witnessed with the Buster Call, but rather she does not want to live long enough for them to realize that she is too much trouble, that the danger the world government will bring upon them is too big of a risk, she's not worth it. She doesn't want to live to see them betray her, to which Luffy and Sogeking responded to shoot down the flag and declare war on the entire world, because they will make the entire world their enemy to protect Robin. She is worth everything. And hearing her say, I want to live, come save me, broke my actual heart. Then you have the fight with Lucci, and I'm like, still standing, will not fall, take him down. The jump, Going Merry, finally coming again to save them, and then them sending it off, having to light it on fire to say goodbye. And then Post Enies Lobby, everything, we introduced Luffy's grandfather, and we're just calming down as everything is wrapping up. And I'm in love. I'm in love with this arc. Flawless. I did watch the anime for this one. The pacing meant nothing to me. I binged the entire thing. I loved it. Flawless. Would not change a second. I am so happy. I should get tissues just because I'm not going to survive the number 1 if I don't have tissues. Alright, coming off the absolute high of that, we have Thriller Bark. Please note, I love Thriller Bark. I honestly do. I love the horror elements. I'm a huge horror fan, so the zombie, monsters, everything there, I loved it. The joke of Luffy coming up and pushing a zombie back into his own grave had me rolling. I got that painted on a picture over there. I love so many things that come after it that I am forced to put it at 20. I'm forced. This is against my will to have it so low on the list. But again, love so many things that come after it more. And then part of what is forcing me to put it down is, of course, the assassination part of Sanji's character, which we're not getting into right now. And then the nothing happens moment. Absolutely flawless, wonderful for Zoro's character. And in an attempt to redeem Sanji for what happened earlier in the arc, you have him standing up because he truly wants Zoro to live, to be there, to protect Luffy, and thinks that he himself can be sacrificed in his place. And no, of course you can't. There's so many things I love about this arc, the setup for other arcs down the road. I'm just forced to put it lower, but I love the horror elements. I love the humor. I loved how scared Usopp and his group was going through compared to Luffy immediately taming a monster and riding it like a horse. I love his like, oh, it's a creepy old man or a falling apart old man. No, it's a zombie. Oh, the humor, the action, the characters, the design, everything worked so well. I'm upset it has to be so low on this list. And we have Sabaody. I have to give it number 10. I love Sabaody so very much. This bubble island that at first I thought was just going to be a cute little bubble island. Have a fun little adventure slavery. And then why One Piece? Why do you hurt me like this? The callbacks to Arlong Park, which again, broke me. And seeing Cammy and her being kidnapped and them trying to save her. And then Luffy punching a celestial dragon in the face? I honestly did not see that well, I saw it coming as soon as someone threatened the octopus guy. But when Zoro was knocked down before he could chop up said celestial dragon, I figured someone would stop Luffy and commotion and something like would get out. But when Luffy got in his mind, no, I'm punching this man in the face, and he punched this man into the next decade. Beautiful, beautiful. We have the Dark King. We have the Dark King coming up to save them. And the admirals, the fights, Kizaru riding in on a cannonball. My actual heart. I loved all of this. But then they lose. Luffy and his crew lose. And they get separated and go to different islands. And I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. I don't know when everything with Ace came into play, but it definitely was being presented now as in the background as this looming threat that Luffy doesn't know about. And I love this arc so very much. Amazon Lily, I have at number 13, and this is higher than I originally had it on this list, but upon reflection, I realized how much I love this arc and the themes and everything it was trying to do. So Luffy is separated from his crew, and again, I love exploring Luffy's character as what he is as a captain, and to take his crew away from them, and to really push how they all come together and need to be together and work together, and how helpless he is without a doctor, without a navigator, without a shipwright, without a cook, everything, like how important the roles of the crew are, and what happens when he's taken away from them and he's just on his own. It was fantastic. And then, of course, meeting Boa and him immediately winning over all the Amazons as they're like, we can either help you get back to your crew and continue on, or we can unpetrify the people that are our own people. We just turned to stone that were helping you. You have to choose. If you choose to save these strangers to you, you will never get back to your crew. He drops to his knees saying thank you. Please let them go. Please help them. You are so kind. Thank you for releasing them. Without hesitation. We get more about Conqueror's Hockey. And then, of course, you have him finally learning that Ace is in trouble and is about to be executed and needing to get there for him. You have more history of the world and slavery and the mark on Boa's back and the Sun Pirates. I adore this arc. I had to move it up. So 13, very happy with that. I forgot so many things I loved about this arc until I just started thinking about it. Really, really looking forward to my reread of the series. Impel down, Marineford, post-war. Number 1, if I could move this even higher than that, I don't want to give a 0 because I feel like that could be considered an insult. I don't know. The highest classification you can ever give any arc ever, it belongs there. My heart and soul were ripped out. Oda could not have hurt me more if he broke into my apartment and physically stabbed me. That would have hurt less than me reading these arcs. Everything from it. From seeing Whitebeard pirates and their loyalty and how they came together to save Ace. Seeing those tiny little flashbacks of Ace making a hat from what he learned in Wano for the giant and keep accidentally burning it, but he has to give it to him to protect him from the rain. And seeing the said giant smashing through people and being like, Whitebeard, don't you dare call me off. I need to get to Ace. I need to save him. And Whitebeard allowing him to form the path, having Whitebeard betrayed by the Squidward-looking guy, only because it is revealed that Ace is Roger's son, and Buddy has an issue with Roger. And Whitebeard, not even feeling the pain of the spear through his chest that Buddy had stabbed him with, but rather just hug his son, saying, I forgive you, my foolish son. Do not hate your brother. Everything about this family and them, I love them. The pain that Ace feels, questioning whether he should be alive, thanking people for loving him, and thanking Luffy for giving him purpose and giving him a reason to live. The flashbacks later on with Ace and Sabo and Luffy coming together, first grieving Ace as Luffy's brother, and then grieving him as his own character. My intense hatred for Magma Bastard. I will never forgive this man. I want to see him die the most painful death possible. Seeing Luffy giving everything to get to his brother. Jinbei throwing him up to the platform with nothing but the mass of a ship to fight 3 admirals, and he's ready to do it for his brother. Crocodile coming in clutch after just trying to kill Whitebeard, saves Ace from the people on the stands trying to execute him, and then Mr. 3 saving the day, making a key, getting them free. Boa fighting with Luffy because she loves him and wants to help, and the Marines, and the Kuma, pacifistas, everything, literally everything, and Garp betraying me because I truly thought him and Luffy were making some kind of plan over the radio, some code, some secret message that they were going to wait for a moment, and then Garp would be the one to free Ace and save him and protect his grandson, only for him not to, but trusting Luffy to do it, so he allows Luffy to hit him to knock him off the stand. I'm still pissed at, I'm no longer pissed at Garp. He redeemed himself in Egghead, but I can't even. Ace, my favorite idiot, who couldn't just allow someone to mistreat his father in Whitebeard, and couldn't allow them to insult his name, saving Luffy's life, but taking the hit from Magma Bastard, and dying in Luffy's arms, being traumatized, and Luffy comatose, having to be rushed away and saved by Jinbei. Jinbei getting hit, and then the strike going through him to hit Luffy, and he's just like, I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, I'm sorry you're still in pain because of me, and you've suffered so much, and Law coming in to save him. This entire arc was made to hurt me. I skipped right over everything what happened with Impel Down and the fortress and Buggy and the prison breakout and Blackbeard. Everything hurt me so very much. The post-war stuff, which I thought would just be a calm down, hurts me. Everything about this section of the story, I am in pain. I love it. It is flawless. It is everything I want from an anime and manga. This is what I mean by, like, write something that is traumatic and will make me cry. This is flawless. When I reread this, I will probably just break down again. Garp seeing his grandson fall and him breaking, and he's walking towards them, and Sengoku has to knock him down. He's just like, yes, hold me down or else I'm killing Magma Bastard. I may have calmed down a little bit. Luffy, the breakdown after the post-war arc, and saying he just wants to see his friends, but Rayleigh being like, you need to train, you're not ready for the Grand Law, or the rest of the New World. The scene where he returns to the grave, and not canceling out the 2 years, or the 2 days, make it 2 years, and then finally, we have returned to Sabaody. I'm putting this at number 12. Oh my god. Everything, the reunion of everything. I needed this moment. I needed them to come back together. I needed to see how much they've grown. I needed those moments of humor because I was dead inside. I was broken. And then seeing Luffy just easily dodge the attacks by the pacifistas. Seeing everyone reunited and then fighting together and fleeing, and all their allies helping them get away and go to Fishman Island. I love this so very much. Going into Fishman Island, this is actually my number 11. I absolutely adore Fishman Island. I love the mermaid princess, Shirahoshi. I love how Luffy called her a crybaby. I'm still emotionally traumatized from the war arc that I'm like, oh, Ace called Luffy crybaby, and now he's calling her crybaby. She's like a baby sister to him. If anything happens to this girl, I will die. And then even something as simple as the octopus kraken thing, Luffy being like, I get Hody is forcing you to fight and he's doing something. Oh, he's threatening your brother? Is he your big brother or your little brother? Why don't you tell me and I will protect you both? I was crying in a train station reading that. I broke down in a train station because that's where I was reading this arc. I was definitely still traumatized by the previous arcs. I absolutely adored seeing how different people are trying to deal with the racism in society and how to address it between the Sun Pirates and the Queen. And her absolute love and respect in saving a celestial dragon and trusting him, of all people, when she goes to the surface world to bring her back safe when she could easily be sold into slavery. Everything with where you're raised and the stories you're told and how people are treating you and how you're coming up and what is glorified. And then the talk of the drug use. And I'm convinced that it has to be a callback to like the American Race Society, but also the introduction of things like drugs like heroin and stuff like that that were actually supplied by like the government. You will not convince me that it wasn't the world government who gave them those drugs to begin with. I get that it says it came from somewhere else. The world government at that time, then whoever it was the one who supplied it or gave the recipe or something like that. The setup with the box, with the bomb, and then you have Caribou coming into play. Everything. The mermaids, everything. I loved everything about this arc. Punk Hazard, I am putting at 14. I adore La. I love La so very much. I love his powers. He's just very cool. And then we get Smoker introduced again, and his crew. The body swapping was really hilarious, even though it made me hate Sanji even more. I brushed past Sanji and Fishman Island. We don't need to discuss it. The stories and Chopper and Nami taking care of the kids, and the alliance between the Heart Pirates who are missing. And at the time, I'm like, La, my darling, I know your crew loves you, so I know you didn't betray them, but where are your crew? And then the Straw Hat Pirates and La regretting every decision that ever led him to meeting Straw Hat Luffy, because Trevor's on his head. He didn't know what he was getting into when he made an alliance with them to take down Kaido and going after Doflamingo. It's wonderful. I didn't mention in Marineford Doflamingo's speech. That's just another thing. That was flawless. I really did enjoy Punk Hazard. It was more for the characters, though, than the story that was actually happening. I just loved all these characters being together. I loved Robin's dark humor. Oh, it was a delight. And then you have Dressrosa. A delight. I love it. Number 4. This one may eventually go up and down, but it's not going any lower than like 6, and I'm very happy with 4. And no, it's staying at 4. It can't go lower than that at any point in time, just because we get reintroduced to Sabo, and he is terrifying when he fights. Like, I was expecting him to come back at any moment, but he is absolutely terrifying when he fights, and I love it. La's backstory, heartbreaking. Seeing Corazon doing everything to protect him and La making fun of his fruit, only for that fruit to give him the ability to cry and grieve. We have the best villain, pretty much, in the series, besides Magma Bastard, because obviously he needs to die. But Doflamingo, terrifying, manipulative, puppet master, evil, psychopath, his backstory, which makes you understand the evil, manipulative psychopath that he's always been, but his family are good, and the people, and the retribution, and everything, and the country he took over, and made the toys, the psychological damage that these people would have to be made into toys that have been forgotten by their friends and loved ones, and having to work. And then you have God Usopp showing up. And him, the sniper shot he took to protect La and Luffy. Beautiful. You have his bounty skyrocketing. You have the birdcage, the ticking clock element as it closes in, people fighting and everyone coming together to help each other and buy time for Luffy to come save them. I love when their people are waiting for Luffy to save them. And they're pushing back against this birdcage, trying to buy them seconds. I love it. It's flawless. I love it. I love it so very much. This shouldn't be a surprise, but it probably is. But Zoe, 3. I love this arc so very much. I love how we are told things kind of out of order, like things have already happened and the Straw Hats have arrived after the events of Dressrosa to see the consequences of everything, and we're getting things in little flashbacks and piecing things together. I love it. But at my heart and soul, I am a Thriller fan, and that twist, Rizzo is alive, my God, broke me. To know that these people, the Minks, my favorite characters or group in One Piece for this one moment alone, just because they were willing to lose their home, their culture, their history, their friends, their family. They would be tortured before they would reveal the fact that Rizzo was under their protection. They were not going to give him over. So the Straw Hats the entire time being like, we gotta keep the samurai away from them because they're gonna be mad at the samurai because they got everything, they lost everything and were tortured for days because these invaders thought the samurai were here. So there's no way they're going to actively welcome them, only for them to drop and be like, Rizzo is safe. He's among us. We're so happy you're here. I loved it. I loved it. On top of that, Nami looks beautiful. On top of that, we're on an elephant that I'm convinced is walking in circles in reference to the moon, because the moon is the ancient weapon, and we got things with the ancient weapons and everything. I'm convinced. It has to be. I don't know. But even though it's more related to a different ancient one, but besides the point, I love this arc. I love as we learn more about the road poneglyphs. I love Robin being like, that's okay, I get people are going to come after me because someone eventually is going to need these translated and I can read them. However, my friends are strong, they will protect me. I love Robin. Protect this angel at all cost. I love Law getting reintroduced to his crew. I love Beppo, and this is where he's from, and everyone's family, and the Big Mom Pirates, the Lion Guy being like, thank you for protecting my home. I love everything. I love everything about this arc. Number 3, no shame. I love this arc. Whole Cake Island gets number 8 because it is A, gorgeous, B, redemption for Sanji, even though, again, another mystic, because Oda cannot give me redemption for Sanji without throwing in a comment about how he's not going to respect his wife because they're going to be married, so he's allowed to go into her room without consent or permission and see her naked. Like, he can't just make me like Sanji and redeem his character for me without throwing in a comment like that. Regardless, I loved everything about Sanji's backstory. I loved learning about his family. I loved the Big Mom Pirates. I adore Big Mom. I loved her flashback. I love seeing her as this little girl who never was taught self-control and how to treat people, and just how she thinks everyone should be as big and strong as her because then everyone will be equal, and her consumption of food, and again, never learning how to control these cravings she has and these emotions, and never learning how to self-regulate and becoming this monster and fighting everybody and forming alliances, and she's manipulative, she's narcissistic, and she's abusing her family. It's all so entertaining, and I loved it. I love seeing Sanji being threatened. My God, I hate his father, Judge. Like, you cannot threaten Sanji's hands. You cannot threaten Sanji's hands. He is a cook, first and foremost, and they put explosives on his wrist. How dare you? Like, how dare you? I love Luffy's absolute faith in his crew and being like, I'm going to eat nothing until Sanji returns to me. He is my cook. The moment when Sanji, he wants to protect his crew, so to do that, he has to take the deal. He has to get married. He has to do what his family says. He has to leave them. That's the only way to keep them safe from an emperor and from his evil family. And he has this one little ray of hope in Pudding, who's a delight, who completely fooled me because she's so sweet and I love her. And she's understanding and kind. And she's lying. And she's been planning to kill Sanji from the beginning. And now he's had this last little shred of hope and light in his life taken away from him. And he's crying and he's in pain. And Nami is missing him because they feel abandoned. And then when he finally comes back to them, there's no arguments, there's nothing. It's just welcome back. We're so happy you don't hate us. We're so happy you're coming home to us. I love this crew. I love the family. I love Katakuri and the fight with Luffy. I love the Big Mom Pirates. I love Branch. I love this arc. Going into the Reverie, we're putting this at 9, just because I love I love the Straw Hats, obviously. But I also love when we step away from them and see the world as a whole and how everything else is happening in the world that I've come to love. So seeing everyone who loves Luffy come together. Speaking of people who love Luffy, I did not mention back in Dressrosa, another reason I love it, because we get Bartolomeo, who is the biggest Luffy and Straw Hat fanboy. He is me. I love him so very much. Back to the Reverie. You have all the princesses getting together and protecting each other. We now have a good celestial dragon that's still alive, protecting Princess Shirahoshi from the evil punchable face dragon. We have the revolutionary army coming into play and making their move. We're going to learn about Kuma and everything with him and his family and his histories being hinted at. You have Shanks, which I have now been informed of a crazy theory that I love and I want. And you have him talking to the 5 elders, and you have this creepy pointy hat man, who may not be creepy hat man. It might be a creepy hat woman. I don't know. Pointy hat person. On the throne with a big mystery straw hat. There's just so many questions that I'm so excited to be answered. And I'm so happy. I love the world building. I love that we're getting pieces of questions and answers, and I can't wait to see what happens. And Wano is going at number 19, just because for me, there was so much buildup with the samurai since Punk Hazard, and I am anxiously waiting to get to Wano to see the character and world that we're going to explore here. But rather than explore the characters that we have been introduced to since Punk Hazard, we basically get no development with their characters. I never learned to love them as characters and their relationships with each other and their home and Odin. Instead, we focus on Odin, who I've come to love very much so. But again, I'm more of a plot-driven person that when I care about what happens in the past, but how is it affecting the present? I want something driving the story forward, not reflecting on the past, unless it's how the characters are going to react in the present. So I didn't learn about the samurai's devotion and loyalty to Odin, really. I learned about how the myth, the legend, the Odin is worthy of the love they already have. And it was just a lot of build-up, and I love the ending. The attack on that island against Kaido, I had so much fun. I was an adrenaline high. I loved Gear 5. I loved the characters that were introduced and the potential they had. I love Yamato. I loved the little pieces we had with Kaido, but I wanted more. I wanted the development of him and his backstory. Specifically, maybe we could have got more on the tragedy of, like, maybe he wanted to be Joy Boy, but now knew he wasn't, so he was content with being the one Joy Boy had to beat. And the loyalty of King to him. I want more of King. There was so much happening that nothing was explored to the extent I wanted. And I loved everything that was happening, and I just wanted more. My complaint is everything happened so fast, and I wanted to explore all these little things that were happening. I wanted to explore what the samurai were doing when Odin was away, how they went from these ruffians to respectable samurai to pretty much poor, but still doing everything they can for the people and everything that was happening to them. For Orochi Bastard and his history and family was so interesting, but then it kind of came to nothing because no one really learned, hey, don't prosecute an entire family for what one person did because you're going to end up with this situation, someone taking revenge. I wanted more on the princess and their mom. I wanted more with Kaido. I wanted more with Big Mom. I wanted more. So I loved everything about this arc. I just needed it to be slowed down and explored if we were going to do so much. And again, I do not dislike this arc. I love everything. I love arcs I listed ever so slightly above and below it. I do enjoy and love this arc. And again, the high for me was the ending and the climax and the fight and Momo. I love Momo. But between the fake out deaths and the pacing being so fast, I just can't put it as high as I think others will on their list. This is mostly for the manga though, because the anime did slow things down. We explored more of Odin's relationship with Whitebeard and Roger specifically. We really jumped past everything with him and Roger in the manga, and I'm still never going to forgive Oda for not drawing the fight between Whitebeard and Roger's pirates. Oh, but we got to see Whitebeard. I love Whitebeard. And Marco and all their pirates and Izu and everyone and them coming together. I love so many aspects of this arc. I just really, with all the build up, since even back in Thriller Bark, when Wano was first mentioned, I've been excited to get here. And so much was happening. I want it more. But the smile devil fruit and how evil Orochi Bastard is, but you understand why. And Yasui and there's so many good characters and so many good moments. My absolute heartbreak of learning why they're laughing. Oh god, so many good moments in this arc. So that is going to be my initial first ranking of the One Piece arcs. Clearly this is going to change upon reread and watching the anime and everything like that, and as I dive into theory videos. But I love the story so very much. I can already feel Egghead going to be throwing a wrench in something because I already want to put it so high, and we're not even done yet. And if this is going to be the final saga, the arcs within, I'm scared. I don't even know how I'm going to fit into everything because I love all of these arcs. And I've already loved Egghead and I don't know where it's going to go. Alright, I will talk to you later. Bye. Whenever you need to, the cat wants to take part in this. Hello, Maven.